Good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. As Kubra said, my name is Natalie Villabos, and I lead Women Techmakers. And it's funny too, like, sure I lead, but I feel like I'm just one of many leaders. So Melissa, will you raise your hand? You might have already met her. Melissa's on the team, she's amazing. Laura is over there. Laura's also on the team. And then last year you might have met Letitia. Letitia actually recently left our team. We're all very sad, but it's because she's gonna be one of the most badass Black founders in the US. So yeah, really excited to support her journey and her career for what's next, and I'm sure you'll be reading all about it in the press shortly. So when I was asked to give some remarks, and I was almost kind of thinking of it as like a little mini State of the Union, if you will. I have notes. These are different requests of things that people asked me to share. And so I don't have any fancy slides. I wanted to keep it relatively simple. I've got some good numbers and some good program updates, and then I'm here all day. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, or ideas, come and find me. Come and talk to Laura or Melissa, or really anyone who's on the GDG North America team. We're here to really create a program that is led by you, right, and the communities that you serve. So first up, what is Women Techmakers? So a few years ago, our mission was really about bringing more women into technology, and I think we were focusing on, again, increasing visibility, community, and resources. We will always use that, but I'm starting to play with a new mission statement. We'll always have those pillars, but I really like the idea too of the action of helping to have women join, thrive, and lead our industry. And I think that's really important because Rio's like, I'm in. Because I feel that, I'll kind of get to my end statement, but we need more women to come into the tech industry. We want to retain them, right? And when I say retain, I don't necessarily just mean at Google. I actually don't necessarily mind what company someone works at, just that they're having a successful, positive experience. So join, thrive, and lead. So kind of planting those as seeds. I might change the mission statement, which of course, if we finalize that, I'll let you know. But tell me what you think about those words. Should we change them? I've been piloting them internally. So also a good thing to keep in mind is that Women Techmakers is not just for women who have computer science degrees. It's not for just SWEs, software engineers, right? Like Women Techmakers was created specifically so that all women who are contributing to the tech industry feel like they have an inclusive, positive community that they can be a part of and have a program that offers them, again, visibility, community, and resources. When we were building our membership program, we saw that there are 50, 60, 70, and probably there's even more now, different jobs that someone can have in the tech industry. And so I think it's pretty limiting if we just say developer, if we just say CS, right? We want to make sure everyone can feel included. So with the Women Techmakers program, one of the ways that we really operate at scale and add a lot of fuel to the grassroots movement that I really feel is the driver of change in the tech industry is to support Women Techmaker leads. And Women Techmaker leads are, as many of you, how many Women Techmaker leads in the room? Will you raise your hand? All right, quite a few. To me, you're the pillars, you're the role models that we look to make the bigger change, the sea change. And so Women Techmaker leads are integrated within Google developer groups, which is already a structure that we have, so that you can change the face of your local tech ecosystems. And at the same time, we see that many Women Techmakers leads create separate events for women as well. And I think it's important to say, men specifically will be like, these are women only, and I can't come. And I'm like, they are women's focused, and if you would like to be a guest in our house, you are more than welcome, So when you're creating your events, right, it's not exclusive, it's inclusive. We're just focused on us, right? And I think that's important. So, as you talk to Laura and Melissa, they're really focused right now on what is the next phase of the growth of the Women Techmaker Leads program. And, we're thinking about creating better onboarding, better financial support, better content. We're thinking about creating better visibility for all the Women Techmaker leads for the events that you run. How do we organize that? How do we help with reporting? So we're going through a big moment right now of just how do we, in the spirit of iteration, how can we make this better and more at scale? So please come talk to us about that. Laura is like our main go-to for that whole project. Right now, it's been, she's new. I just keep assigning her work, and the hard work too. And yes, to us, Women Techmaker leads are really the blood, and your communities are really the family that we're trying to create. So when it comes to what we've done this year, I wanted to share a couple of numbers. In the State of the Union, right? On Twitter, we have 99,700 followers. So we're 300 short. We're really excited for planning our 100,000 follower moment. We, a couple years ago, launched something called membership. Who here is a member? And I say it in air quotes because people are like, well, I came to an event, am I a member? And this is where we get a little confusing with our own programs. So when you join membership, right, then we're able to provide you curated content based on things you love and things you need every 10 days. That's been Melissa's baby for many years. And so she has sent out this year close to 1 million emails, which is no small task. And she is really helping to provide resources at scale, right? As program managers at Google, we have to think of solutions at scale. So membership is really incredible. So we have over 43,000 members who have signed up on membership. A lot of them are in one of our 7 Slack communities. When we think about where those members are in the world, they're in 193 countries. So also there's that problem of scale of how do we not only talk about things in English, right? How can we localize and internationalize a lot of our content? So those are some problems we think about. The top cities where we have members are San Francisco, New York, Bangalore, London, and Seattle. So North America is dominating. We do try and sometimes have some friendly competition with our internal Google teams to see if we can have more women members from different parts of the world. Women Techmaker leads, so this is a fun one. I'm going to ask, how many Women Techmaker leads do you think we have, not just in the US, but globally, because we're a global program? And you can just yell some random numbers. 100, 600. I feel like an auctioneer. What was over here? 500. 270. How about back there? How much? 300. All right, back here. Just one more. 100. 550. So there's a lot more of you, right? And when we, again, think of scale, we're like, okay, how do we support 550 badass women who are changing the face of tech in their communities? They're in 69 countries. And so, we love talking to them. Your regional leads are really your main point of contact, and what we try to do as the main program is to support those regional leads. So that's why you might not hear from me, Melissa, and Laura too often. It's because we're trying to build a program structure. So in this year of 2018, we launched a new gender equality video, which is really incredible. It's on our website, and you can share that and play that at your meetups. For International Women's Day, we had over 20,000 women participate in over 200 of the events that you ran and the 16 summits we hosted at Google offices. We had 25% women at Google I/O and provided over $150,000 in travel grants so that more women from more places around the world could come and join us. And then, was anyone here at Grace Hopper, like just a couple weeks ago? All right, sweet. So at Grace Hopper, we throw a pretty badass, fat party. If you ever can't get in, please email me a couple weeks in advance and I'll get you in. So we had over 2,000 women come to that party. Felt more like a concert if you were there. So each time the Events and Experiences team really ups the experience. We launched and completed a Udacity scholarship. So we had over 8,000 women apply for our free nano degrees that we were offering, and we were able to give 100. And so we had 3x our goal in completing those scholarships, and we're really happy. We provided them to women everywhere. We have a program called Women Techmakers Scholars. It previously was known as the Anita Borg Memorial Scholarship. And in the spirit of really unifying what Google is offering for women in tech, we brought it under the Women Techmakers family. And so each year we award 115 scholarships annually for women who are in undergrad, grad, or getting their PhDs to help them. We also provided travel grants to TensorFlow, Polymer, Chrome, and Firebase Dev Summits. It is getting more and more substantial, so the more demand for the scholarships, the more money I can go and try and find for that demand. So really excited about that. We also hosted our first event at the Consumer Electronics Show, which I didn't know how I would feel about it. I didn't actually go onto the floor of CES. It seemed a little overwhelming for a multi-100,000 person conference. So I mostly just stayed in our lounge, Google. We also completed a 12-week research study in India. So what I'm really excited about for that is I want to know what women in tech is like everywhere in the world. So when we talk about women in tech, and people come, male allies or other people will come to me, and I feel like they're thinking of one type of person. And so what I'm trying to do is get down to the data and the stories of what women are like everywhere. So as we evolve over the next couple of years, I want to create research and papers and specific region or country level sites off of Women Techmakers so that anyone everywhere could get to know women in tech wherever they are. I think sharing those stories is really important and making them locally relevant. So I already told you about Laura, Melissa, and Letitia. And in terms of what we've done recently, did anyone see the launch of our 60-second video series? All right, maybe not enough. We'll work on that. So we are partnering with Girl Develop It to bring in their teachers into what's called the Google Developer Studio. And we are asking women from GDI and then also women from around the world to come and teach us a technical concept in 60 seconds. We've got an awesome production team, and we want to send out these bites all over the world. Right? And so it's, again, creating visibility and a scalable resource. So come talk to one of us if you would want to teach a technical concept on camera, and we can make it happen. We also launched our communities page this year. That was a multi-year project, very expensive project. Melissa and Letitia really spearheaded that. And the communities page that we have is really about how can we map all of the women in tech meetups in the world, so that there's one place that you can go and look, no matter what country you're in, to find your community, right? And we have many hundreds of communities represented, not just Women Techmakers. Because oftentimes I find that Women Techmakers, we want to be a convener, or we want to be a catalyst. It's not just about pushing Google's goals, it's about being a place where we can fuel and support many different organizations all at once. And I think that's why we have many organizations represented here. And we also, I didn't share a lot too, we have a lot of partnerships across the world, from Southeast Asia to Africa to India and Europe, where we are trying to give not only financial support, but resource support to women in tech orgs everywhere. So the future. So I kind of alluded to it in the beginning. When we think of the future of women tech makers, there's a quote from a gentleman, a musical hero of mine, Gil Scott-Heron. I don't know if everyone knows Gil Scott-Heron, but good. So the quote is, "The revolution will not be televised." And I think that you are that revolution. So when people talk about women in tech, no doubt they talk about the Googles, the Facebooks, and other big companies. And I think that that is one part of the puzzle. But I think the bigger, more important puzzle, the bigger story, the bigger opportunity is actually to empower women where they are, as opposed to just at tech companies. And so to me, the revolution in this room is the revolution that's actually going to be the bigger sea change. So the question I keep asking Laura, Melissa, and many of the other volunteers, we have about 600 volunteers that work on Women Techmakers every year. I ask them, what is it going to take to get to 1 million women every year? But not just 1 million women every year, we need 1 million new women joining and staying and then leading. And that's a really difficult problem, right? And at Google, we're like, cool, let's do things at scale and really big problems. Because right now we're at 100,000, and we're actually going to share, by the end of the year, a new number, which is significantly higher than that 100,000. But just imagine, how do we get from 100,000 women as a part of Women Techmakers, or just women in tech, to 1 million? So I really would love for you to think about, what is the systems-based approach, right? What is it? How do we do this at scale? How do we train 1 million women? How do we keep them here? there's lots of problems within the problems, right? And as a program manager, I'm trying to break it all down in my mind. And so I think that women tech maker leads and the communities represented here are going to be the drivers of that 1 million. And I say 1 million too, it's not totally arbitrary. It's that when I looked at what would it take to get to gender parity based on the number of women in tech in the world, we may get to gender parity sometime at like 2050, maybe, right? It's gonna take a really long time, and in my lifetime, I would like to see that happen a hell of a lot sooner. And so if I kind of calculated, okay, 2030, okay, what if we could do 2030, all right. Okay, we need 1 million new women every year, and then they need to stay here. And so it's just, so know that that's where that number's coming from. I'm fiddling with the very limited amount of data and research. So that's my big goal. And I want to share that as a big goal for you too, not in terms of for your community, right? But to think about, well, I guess it is in part for your community, but I think it's really about coming up with the next idea, the next solution, right? I like to stay very solutions focused, and come talk to us, right? Because what we can do as a central team is to really build a lot of these ideas out, and then we can test and work them in your communities. Also, if you have new programs and new ideas and you're like, this is incredible, you know, we've been piloting it here, like there's a woman named Natalie, like no relation, obviously, in Berlin. Natalie in Berlin, her Women Techmakers group has really focused on helping women get their first job in tech, right? So she's maybe a part of the Join solution. And so think maybe if you were to think of Join, Thrive, and Lead, do you want to address all 3 in your chapters? Do you want to do 1? Think of how you might want to contribute. And we'll map it all together into a really big narrative and make sure that you all are empowered to run the marathon, right? Because I think that we're not in a sprint. When people talk to me about how I'm dismantling the patriarchy, I tell them I'm program managing it. Because I can get angry, I can get sad, I can go through a whole wave of different emotions of how to dismantle things. And yet I feel like I'm going to do it very methodically, on a very large scale with hopefully all of you. So thank you so much for being here today. And if you have any questions or ideas about things that I've said, if you have a vision of what you want Women Tech Makers to be, please come tell me, right? Because our vision is reflective of your vision. And I look forward to spending lots of time with you today. So thank you so much. Next, here you go.
Yes.
I'm like, I will introduce.
Yes, thank you so much, Natalie. And I would like to welcome the champions of the other champions of the program here, and Melissa and Laura. Yes.
Hello. Hello. It's really great to be here. I want to do a quick poll. How many of you have just started as a Women Techmaker lead in the last year? Raise your hand. Wow, that's a good amount. How many have you been leads for 2 years? 3 years? Woo. Nice, yeah. That's awesome. So we got 1. So as you saw, there's a lot of new, 4, of course, Rio. We gotta call out Rio. So you see there's a lot of new people. Natalie mentioned we have 550 leads. 130 of those leads just joined in the last year. We're growing really quickly. And I feel very lucky that it's my job to travel around the world and meet you all. You all inspire me. I get to hear your stories. Recently, I met our first Iraqi lead. Her name is Rawa, and she is teaching refugees how to code in her chapter. It's amazing. Natalie mentioned the other Natalie, who we met at the European Lead Summit. She's helping women get their first job in tech, which is incredible. And then we have people like Rio, who are mentoring people. Yes, give it up for Rio. She's mentored many of you, and she's helping, and Margaret as well, who will be.
She's right there.
There she is. Who are helping spread that knowledge. And it's our job to help you. You are the experts in leading your communities. You have all this knowledge inside your brain, and we want to help scale that knowledge out to women all around the world, not just North America. So in this next workshop, this is a chance for us Googlers to facilitate certain topics that you're passionate about, whether that's getting more speakers at your meetups or connecting to Googler speakers or partnering with other organizations. Find that topic that you're really passionate about, find a Googler, and let's jam on that. Let's collect your feedback, let's share that, and we'll eventually, Laura will explain more, but we'll spread that information and hopefully make it a better program. So yeah.
I've got logistics. I also actually do want to shout out too to all the other organizations here who aren't necessarily Google leads or Google developer groups. We obviously are super welcoming of you. One of the ones that I remember is actually in Madrid. There was a woman from Switzerland who talked about hosting the first like women-friendly and women-focused hackathon there. And so she had like childcare and she had like good food and which I think everyone benefits from, right? Like I think what we all do benefits everyone in the room, so, and outside of the room. So there are also specific topics. There are topics that are specific for women techmaker leads, and there are also topics that are like community. So it's about how can we grow the ecosystem, how can we partner together, and then there's some that are like, how do I do an International Women's Day event, which is kind of specific to us. So we have a bunch of facilitators, as mentioned. I would love to invite our facilitators to come up to the stage, including Rio and Margaret. Yes, excellent. Because I'm basically going to introduce who's who and their topic. We have paper boards and markers, and I think they're going to find a table. And what we're going to ask is at the end for everyone to get up and find your table. So it's going to be a good opportunity, I think, to move around a little as well. Okay. Next page. Okay, so I'm going to start with Sheni, if you'll move forward. Sheni is going to be focused on sustainable communities. So kind of like a lot of us are event focused. What do you do in between events to maintain your community? What do you do like potentially after events? How do you improve? How do you track engagement? What platforms do you use to engage? That's Sheni. Building collaborative relationships is Kyle. And this is, again, really about partnerships. So it's like, how do you find sponsors? How do you find locations? How do you connect with other groups? Maybe how do you travel? Things like that to kind of further your causes. Jen is focusing on the anatomy of an inclusive community. And I think this is really interesting, too, especially if you have if you're, men helping us, if you're allies, if you're looking to expand sort of like beyond the gender spectrum, I think those are things we're really interested in. How do you make your, not only events inclusive, but your communication, your online engagement? These are 3 topics that I think anyone can participate in, depending, you don't have to be Women Techmaker. Another one is with our mentors, Rio and Margaret. So you all are hacking the speaker challenge, which I think is a pretty universal challenge as well. How do you get speakers? How do you potentially find events you can speak at? Like, again, how can we kind of get the collective juices flowing to solve that? Melissa, woohoo. So this one is more lead specific, and it's kind of around a little bit of what Natalie was talking about. So how are you feeling about, how do you want to sort of like continue the structure and the support and the process around Women Techmaker leads, how you connect with GDGs, how you connect with Google. So it's really kind of the structure and process. I'm next, and this is, I cherry-picked this for myself. I would love to talk about the Women Techmaker leads community as a community. So you're all leaders. I know we have a Slack group. I know there's not much activity on it. How can we sort of, is that the right place? Are there other platforms that would be better? How do you engage with each other? When you travel, can you connect? Like, what are things that we can do as a community? Are there any goals as a community? So you have your individual chapter goals. Is there anything that we want to aim for? And that's what I'm going to also be focused a lot on in my work. So this is your chance to influence. The Kubra is helping with specifically International Women's Day events. So this I think is really good if potentially if you're a first-time organizer. How do you create a kick-ass event for International Women's Day? How do you partner with Google? Things like that. Natalie, hers is called A Force for Change in the World. Simple. Yeah, I paired that one too. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but again, it's like, how do we grow? How do we reach the million mark? How do we reach the multi-million mark? And then in a somewhat related, but Naveen, he is focusing on developing a women tech makers ecosystem. So this is also open, I think, to communities, and it's really, it's kind of like the chapter level of what Natalie's thinking about, but it's like, how do we build our local ecosystems? How do we expand women tech makers to sort of potentially, you know, reach more women who are in technology who may not have this yes degree, and yeah, like a little bit around partnership. So, any questions? That's yes.
I became the Women Techmakers lead in July, and I'm still not familiar what all technical events or what all to host in a Women Techmakers meet. And I'm ACMW chapters too. So what exactly I do is I get an Audacity course and teach some of the women. So next time I see the women they were there before, they don't end up. So I ask them, what was the problem? Like, why are you not here? So they say we can even do that at home. So how can I keep what can I do to keep those women intact?
I think.
Which group?
Yeah, I think you're there, or potentially engaging sustainable communities. Yeah, I think one of those two will be great for you to participate in and kind of talk through some of that. And then, so once we get in the groups, as said, we have different ways of getting ideas. It's really kind of up to you if you want to just do the big brainstorm, if you want to spend some time thinking. But then really, it's about prioritizing what are maybe the main pain points you're trying to solve, what are the things you're trying to achieve, and how can we use all the brains to do that. We'll be collecting all this information, and we're going to take it back and help us plan not only 2019, but beyond. So again, we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate us getting all in the room to do this, because it's going to really help drive what we do to reflect what you're looking for. Yeah.
So I think it was maybe Jen's group where we were talking about inclusivity. So I'm going to enunciate really loud. So one of the other things too, when I was on stage, I said that Women Techmakers is women's focus, not women's only, but I also want to make sure that people who are gender nonconforming and gender non-binary feel really included in Women Techmakers as well. So we've been asked that question, especially when we were running mentorship sessions at Lesbians Who Tech. So keep that in mind as well as you're participating in any of these groups, as well as intersectionality. For me, I want to make sure that all people who are marginalized or underrepresented, or who might not always feel safe in tech environments, can feel safe in Women Techmakers. So just think of that mindset as we approach these solutions, and that we're not thinking just of our communities, but we're thinking specifically maybe in the United States, you can broaden yourself to that global feeling. So I just wanted to carry that heart forward.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, so we're going to all scatter. There's the papers back there if you'd like. You can also use your laptops. Everyone else stand up and look for your person.